So this question is the same format as we've been doing. The order will be Tony, Aiden, Jason, Sandy, Ira, and Brian. The question is, do you have a plan for retaining young McMaster, Mohawk, and Redeemer grads in Hamilton? Tony, after you.
Yes. I think we do have to have a plan. I don't have a plan at the moment, but I think there's something very futuristic that we have to do at the city level, and trying to keep our youth in Hamilton. After they finish school, they have to go outside the boundaries, unfortunately, and trying to create them some jobs and attract them like to stay in our own city here. Thank you.
Aiden, after you.
I'm deeply grateful that this question names Mohawk and Redeemer. Too often in our conversation about education and student policy in Hamilton, we overlook the two other great post-secondary institutions of higher learning that we do have in this region. I think that doing more to bring Mohawk and McMaster and Redeemer, all three, into the downtown would be a great way to hook students on Hamilton and incentivize them to stay. I believe that the municipality needs to give a lot more grant money to the arts sector. That is one thing we can do to build a downtown that becomes even cooler than it already is and even more attractive to students. And let us be clear, it would be an extremely good thing for our economy to incentivize students to stay. Thank you.
Jason, after you.
Thank you. So the two things I think we need to do are, one, create a city where young people want to flock to live. That includes continuing to leverage the arts sector in Hamilton, which is growing and vibrant. And I've been very proud to be part of the literary arts sector in Hamilton for a number of years now, as my wife brought the publishing company here. We also need to ensure that our transit is effective and people can move around the street. One thing young people consistently identify is about the city they want to live in is they don't want to need to own a car. I think LRT is a big part of that. Secondly, we need to attract employers to our city that are, by cutting red tape and by making the city easier to deal with in terms of getting business licenses and getting those processes in place. So cutting red tape at City Hall is a huge part of attracting the employers we need to keep those young people and have somewhere for them to go when they graduate.
Sandy, after you.
Well, I think these are all great ideas. I've mentioned before the arts sector. I think that really is what will attract young people. But we really need to win their hearts and minds. And we really need to understand what young graduates, young professionals want as they build their life and their career. And more than anything, they need to know, as we mentioned, that we have a modern city, we have housing that's available and attractive to them, and that we have modern transportation. But I think what's lacking in attracting students to have them stay here is that they really don't know what Hamilton's all about. And we have done, as community leaders, not a great job of ensuring that we are making those connections. We need to have more collaborative tables and collaborative bodies that talk to the education institutions that are graduating these professionals with these skills to make connections to the burgeoning economy, to make sure that we're making those connections. Because I know, for example, with nurses, we graduate nurses, but they end up finding employment in other communities. So as community leaders, I think it is our job to make sure that we're engaged, that we are looking to retain those young students, and we start with hearts and minds, but we also make sure that we're looking at their pocketbook as well.
Thank you, Sandy. Ira, after you.
There's no question there's opportunities here. So it's interesting when you think about what's going on in our community. When people leave university, usually they're couples already, they've met their significant other, and they're thinking about moving to a community and building a family, and the first thing you look for is a school. And we're losing them. So we need to make sure that we're rescuing our schools and we're maintaining them, because they're the foundation. They are the anchor of a community. So that's the first step. The next step is to make sure that we're promoting this incredible city to the students that, for the most part, never really leave the areas where they are. Students around Mohawk may be doing a little bit more traveling, but I had an interview this morning with a reporter from the Silhouette, and he agreed. For the most part, McMaster University students don't leave the area. And it's such a great city. We have Dundurn Castle. We have, we're the waterfall capital of North America. We have the War Heritage Museum.
Thank you, Ira. I'll stop you at the waterfall.
We have
Thank you. Brian, after you.
As I've mentioned, my background's in marketing and communications, and I just believe that there's an opportunity here for a public-private marketing plan geared specifically for student retention. That not only we do a great job now marketing Hamilton outside of the community, but we don't communicate well enough internally to our own residents as well as the students living temporarily on campus. We need to educate them as to the jobs that are available, the arts and the history of arts in our community, such as music in our history, great bands that came out of Hamilton, such as, I don't know, Teenage Head, Junk House, Harlem Pepper, more Arkells. But bringing in that splash, that flavor, and show students living at each of the schools that there's housing opportunities, there's job opportunities, there's arts opportunities, and there's opportunities here to raise a family healthy.